She's just a puppet, Trump's parrot, a walking teleprompter in heels. Robert De Niro, the studio lights in Los Angeles cast a long, theatrical glow over Robert De Niro as he faced the camera. Clad in a black turtleneck and blazer, the aging actor radiated the gravitas of a man used to being listened to, a man who'd long ago blurred the lines between silver screen legend and political firestarter. This time, his stage wasn't a film set. It was his living room, turned into a digital command center where a sleek camera crew recorded a scathing monologue. The 5-minute video, later titled The Puppet Machine, would go viral within hours. Caroline Leavitt, he said, voice soaked in disdain, is the new face of political decay. Young, polished, empty. He scoffed, then leaned closer to the lens, eyes sharp. She's Trump's glitter-coated missile. Pretty, loud, and completely hollow. With expertly spliced clips of Trump's speeches, Leavitt press briefings, and De Niro's past interviews, the video was less a critique and more an indictment. He called Trump a wrecking ball with a Twitter addiction, and Leavitt his echo chamber wrapped in Jen's gloss. It was damning, it was rehearsed, and it was Hollywood at its most weaponized. And America watched. X, formerly Twitter, exploded. The video was reposted by A-listers and academics alike, many calling De Niro brave, brilliant, and blistering. Hashtag De Niro strikes trended globally within 2 hours. On MSNBC, pundits called it a cultural gut punch to the MAGA machine. For the Hollywood elite, it was another blow in the ongoing war against Trumpism. But in a quiet White House office, the screen flickered with that very video, paused midway on Caroline Leavitt's desk. The youngest White House press secretary in U.S. history sat with her arms crossed, her jaw tight, eyes narrowing with every word from De Niro's mouth. Her advisors fidgeted. Some wanted her to respond subtly. Others begged for silence. She stood instead. "He called me a puppet," she said flatly. "Good, then it's time to cut the strings he's hiding behind." She turned the screen off. That afternoon, Caroline Leavitt called a press conference. The room buzzed with anticipation. Journalists packed shoulder to shoulder, camera crews jostling for position. From Newsmax to the New York Times, all were there. Then the doors opened, and there she was, wearing a striking pink suit and a small gold cross necklace. Leavitt walked to the podium like a woman on a mission. Her heels clicked like drum beats on marble. Her eyes didn't just scan the room, they owned it. "Let's begin," she said. A CNN reporter stood. "Miss Leavitt, Robert De Niro has accused you of being a MAGA mouthpiece." She cut in. "No, he called me a puppet, a parrot. That's cute coming from a man who spent 50 years reading other people's lines for applause." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Mr. De Niro's video isn't about truth. It's about fear. He's afraid that a 27-year-old from New Hampshire might speak clearer, hit harder, and rise faster than his entire industry of gated mansions and champagne politics. She turned slightly, voice steady and controlled. "While he plays revolutionary in an edited video, we're lowering gas prices, negotiating trade deals, and putting America first. He mocks the MAGA movement as a circus, but I'd rather stand in a tent full of patriots than hide in a Beverly Hills panic room." The crowd murmured. Cameras clicked like wildfire. Another journalist raised a hand. "Ms. Leavitt, De Niro questioned your experience, said you lacked the maturity." She smiled, eyes sparkling. "I may not have his years, but I have something more dangerous, receipts. President Trump created 3.2 million jobs in his first term, cut taxes for 80% of American households, and brought home 5,000 citizens from overseas conflicts. That's not a script. That's history." Then she paused for just a second, letting silence speak. "I was raised in a family-owned ice cream shop. I watched my parents work double shifts, not for headlines, but for hope. That's where I learned service. And unlike Mr. De Niro, I don't need applause to prove I care about America." A conservative journalist stood, clearly emboldened. "Ms. Leavitt, what's your message to Robert De Niro?" She looked directly into the nearest camera. "You call this a show, Robert? Then welcome to the new season. But this time, I'm not playing your game. I'm rewriting the script." Boom. Just like that, the speech went viral. Clips of her defiant words, "I'm not playing your game," flooded TikTok, Truth Social, and YouTube Shorts. X was ablaze with hashtags. Had Leavitt vs. De Niro, had Caroline Rising, hashtag MAGA Whirlwind. Digital artists turned her image into fan art, one showing her wielding a flaming constitution, stepping over a pile of Hollywood scripts. Hollywood had sent a missile. Caroline Leavitt had returned it and turned it into a warhead. And this was only the beginning. A younger reporter from Variety magazine, clearly more Hollywood than Hill, asked with a smirk, "Would you ever consider debating Robert De Niro directly?" Leavitt's response was instant. "Only if he's willing to do it without a script." Boom, the room exploded. Had Leavitt? Unscripted immediately trended. Digital artists turned it into memes. Leavitt holding a red pen, slashing through De Niro's face on a teleprompter. Gen Z creators flooded TikTok, adding sound effects and reaction shots. But Leavitt wasn't finished. "I invite Mr. De Niro to sit down with me. No cue cards, no dramatic lighting, just truth. If he really believes I'm naive, let him face me. Not through filters and editors, but face to face like the New Yorkers we both are." The statement was brutal, sincere, and magnetic. Reporters were already calling it one of the most ferocious takedowns in press room history. Memes were appearing live. One showed De Niro's character from Taxi Driver looking into the mirror. "You talking to me?" Underneath, the caption read, "No, she is." As the press briefing ended, Caroline Leavitt stepped away from the podium without a single stumble. She had just gutted Robert De Niro, and not with rage, but with reason. Inside the White House, her team erupted. Truth Social was overloaded. Her official account posted, "Hollywood scripts don't work here. This is real, and we're just getting started." The post hit 3 million interactions in 15 minutes. In Beverly Hills, De Niro's team went silent. In Washington, a 27-year-old just rewrote the rules of modern political warfare. And in the homes of millions of Americans, a new name began to rise, not as an actress, not as a symbol, but as a storm. Caroline Leavitt. Robert De Niro had played every kind of man on screen. A mobster, a war hero, a taxi-driving anti-hero. But nothing had prepared him for this. Being publicly, relentlessly dismantled by a 27-year-old press secretary armed not with scripts, but with facts, fury, and a fierce connection to the American people. Within 24 hours of Caroline Leavitt's press conference, the cultural shockwave had grown from viral to seismic. Her fiery line, "Only if he's willing to do it without a script," appeared everywhere. On late-night TV, Gen Z podcasts, even bumper stickers. A billboard in Michigan simply read, "Leavitt 1, De Niro 0. Hollywood's retaliation. Fizzles in Beverly Hills, publicists scrambled. De Niro's team issued a follow-up post on X. "I stand by my words. The MAGA movement is a threat to democracy, and Caroline Leavitt's loyalty to Trump is dangerous, not brave." It garnered just 19,000 likes. A Truth Social comment under it read, "This isn't a Scorsese film, Bobby. You just got outclassed by someone who actually believes in something." The contrast was brutal. While De Niro's tone grew defensive, Leavitt's message was electric. She didn't just strike back, she expanded. She started a campaign of connection. New videos appeared on her accounts. Clips of her walking through Midwest towns, talking to farmers, hugging single mothers, answering college students' questions with zero script and full sincerity. The comment sections exploded. "She's not pretending to care. She does. I've never cared about politics, but Caroline makes me want to pay attention." De Niro mocked her. She turned it into a movement. A movement takes shape. Caroline Rising reached 80 million views in 3 days. Isher Leavitt Unscripted topped global trending charts. And a new hashtag emerged. Had Hollywood collapse. TikTok creators stitched her press briefing with commentary, editing her speech over heroic orchestral scores. One creator added a cinematic montage of her walking into the press room in slow motion, set to the Dark Knight soundtrack, captioned, "When America needed truth, she showed up without a script." On Instagram, digital artists transformed Leavitt into a modern-day Joan of Arc, sword in one hand, Constitution in the other, standing over a crumbling Hollywood sign. Even neutral commentators couldn't ignore it. A Forbes headline read, "Caroline Leavitt doesn't need Hollywood. She just beat it." The Wall Street Journal called it the most effective counterpunch to elite celebrity politics in recent memory. Meanwhile, the New York Times awkwardly ran a headline that tried to thread the needle. Leavitt's rise, dangerous demagoguery or populist masterclass? The people had already answered. De Niro's collapse. Robert De Niro, once a lion of the left, now found himself caught in a cultural quicksand. His defenders tried. Some called Leavitt's speech mean-spirited. Others labeled it scripted populism. But no one could shake the visceral impact of what had happened. Meme culture annihilated him. A viral Reddit post displayed side-by-side images. Left, De Niro shouting in his video. Right, Leavitt calmly holding the Constitution. Caption, Hollywood rage versus American resolve. In private, sources claimed studios were distancing themselves. A leaked email from a Netflix executive read, "The De Niro video was a misfire. We can't afford another celebrity-driven backlash." His next public appearance, an interview with CNN, flopped. The ratings were abysmal. His usual conviction seemed shaken. "I said what I believed," and he muttered, "but this generation, they're blinded." A viral TikTok clipped that quote with a snarky Gen Z reply. Blinded? Nah, we just see through the fake now. Leavitt becomes a symbol, and what of Caroline Leavitt? She toured red states and blue states alike. Her presence filled town halls, campuses, and veteran centers. Her message evolved from defense to vision. She spoke of vocational training, border security, energy independence, and restoring the American dream. At a youth event in Arizona, she declared, "We don't need Hollywood's approval to matter. We need jobs, dignity, and the truth." The crowd erupted. Young people began chanting, "Caroline, Caroline," A chant previously reserved for rock stars now belonged to a political firebrand with a cross necklace and a mission. Truth Social declared her the queen of Gen Z conservatism. Fox News ran with, "Leavitt leaves De Niro in the dust." Even independents started floating hashtags like #Leavitt2028. And then came the post that changed everything. From her official account, she posted a photo, her standing on the White House steps, wind in her hair, Constitution in hand. Caption, "This fight was never about Hollywood. It's about who we are and what we're willing to stand for." It broke the internet, 15 million views in 6 hours, shared by Trump, endorsed by Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, and over 200 grassroots political groups. Even Elon Musk replied with a flame emoji. The culture had turned. The backlash against De Niro became a referendum on elite moralizing. And Caroline Leavitt, once mocked as a puppet, had become a symbol of defiant truth-telling and generational leadership.